Hello, and welcome everybody to IFA Insights, where we sit down with seasoned financial professionals to talk about practical wisdom that independent financial advisors can use to help grow and protect their practices. Today, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and how it actually can fit into your day-to-day workflows. Advisors are hearing constant messaging about how AI is transforming our industry or even potentially taking our jobs. This noise has led to some real questions. What tools can I actually trust? How can I stay compliant? And how do I use AI without damaging the client experience that I work so hard to maintain? So AI can absolutely create efficiencies and reduce some friction, but when it's implemented without intention, it can add complexity, introduce some risk, and distract advisors from what matters most, those client relationships. To help separate that signal from noise, I'm joined by Matt Welsh. He's ARC's Director of Wealth Advisors and Financial Planning. He works directly with advisors inside real planning workflows, and he's also managing a client-facing book of business as well, which really gives him a grounded perspective on where AI can actually work and where it doesn't. So, Matt, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you give us just a real brief intro to your career and how long you've been in the independent space?
I've been in the independent space now for 17 years, I think, or very close to it, and have always worked directly with clients, and just recently in the last couple of years expanded to helping to manage and organize larger books of business and larger teams of advisors and support personnel.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. So let's get right into it. So you've spent a lot of time with our advisors, and we've gotten a lot of pushback, and they're a little skeptical about AI use. So why do most AI tools fail inside real workflows? And why are so many advisors disappointed after they implement them?
I think there are a couple of reasons that cause that. Most AI tools don't fail because the technology is not there. They fail because they don't really work real well in an advisor's workflow process. So being a financial advisor is not a linear process. Where they excel are in tasks that help speed up some of the prep work, some of the follow-up work, things like that. Then there's also the other challenge that you picture you've got a bunch of boomers and Gen Xers that aren't always quick to adopt new technology. So if it doesn't work really well right out of the box, I think we tendency is to get a little bit skeptical and leery and then quit using it and just fall back to what we've always done.
Yeah, that makes sense. So another common thing that we're hearing is that advisors are just overwhelmed. There's so many options and not enough clarity about where to start. So what are some of the biggest mistakes those advisors are making when they're choosing the AI tools for their firm?
I think a lot of that comes from there's just so many out there. It's overwhelming to sort through which ones to use best. The biggest mistakes aren't necessarily around technology. I think it's a lot around leadership and how they get rolled out to a firm. What we did when we first started using AI here is we had some very clear instructions on what we should look for to have them do, to speed up various tasks, to help us write or create conversations for clients that follow up better or more concisely, and how to use those tools to help speed up the working process, with the idea of it can help with drafting emails, improving clarity of conversations. Another mistake is skipping, I think, the feedback loop. Again, when you're picturing a slightly older workforce, as we tend to be in our industry, if we just put out that we want to use AI and just give people the tool without giving them clear instructions on how to use it and allow them to provide feedback on what works or what doesn't work, could be problematic. A good example of that is one of the early tools we used was ChatGPT, and it's great for helping to, draft communications, or you could do basic research, but you have to challenge it a little bit and learn how to ask it questions correctly, because you will get different answers from it. So one of the things that we started doing was, as we first started using it, was to have it research something you're passionate about. Maybe it's a hobby, could be a charity event or something you want, and then start seeing the responses it gives you. So you now know how to better ask it questions, and it now knows how to better answer you and give you better, quicker data.
Yeah, absolutely. I've also personally found it's great for tech support, right? When you can't get
Yep.
your computer to connect, you're like, hey, this isn't working. And it can walk you through that. So let's go back to the advisory and planning perspective of the tools. So how are we using AI to make sure that we're using it compliantly and also protecting client data? Because we can't just put all that information in ChatGPT.
Absolutely true. Now, there are some financial services built artificial intelligence programs. So you certainly want to check with your broker dealer, your compliance department, to see which ones are compliant. Those that have been built for it typically don't store personal identifying information. And we don't want to, as we're having a conversation, if we're having an AI note taker, we don't really want to say, well, the social security number we're dealing with is A, B, C, D. So if we don't tell it that, it won't pick that information up. Certainly you want to stay within the boundaries of your compliance department and what tools you can use. We use Jump to help us organize meetings and do prep work, as well as create a follow-up and to-do tasks. And it's good. It's not perfect. It doesn't work exactly into our workflow 100%, but it certainly saves, probably for me anyways, I'm estimating 20 to 30 minutes per meeting in just helping to organize notes and follow up and create to-dos. And I'm using probably 80% of the capability of it.
Wow. Can you talk a little bit about how long you felt like it took you to get the system coached to be that useful, where it's taking 20 minutes off?
That's a great question.
What's the time investment?
Yeah, that's a great question. It'll start saving you time immediately. That time, as you get smarter in how to work with it and it gets smarter in how to work with you, that time will grow. But I probably started saving 10 to 15 minutes easy in just having organized notes and to-dos fresh and ready to go. Now, one of the things that it will also help with this particular software is in meeting preparation. It will give you conversation starters or suggestions like that based on the data it knows about your client. Now, it's a little bit of a loop here. So you have to feed it information in order for it to give you that information. I have found in my meetings that as I'm going through a meeting and I've got Jump or artificial intelligence note taker working with me, if I specifically mention certain things like, well, Sarah, I understand what you're saying about the portfolio not being as aggressive as you wish or too aggressive, and we're going to change your investment objective to something specific. It will remember that, and then in the next meeting we have 6 months, a year later, whatever the case may be, that comes up in the meeting prep. So now we can double check to make sure it all got done, and we can build a conversation around that. So, Sarah, now that we've had that change in your investment objective for going on however much time it is, the performance has been this, are you still okay with that? So it really helps to speed up the prep if you will give it specific instances and words that it recognizes. Things like performance of accounts, rates of return, various financial language that we use anyways. It'll take that and build a smarter meeting for you next time.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about workflow. So it's very clear you're using it in your meeting prep and meeting follow-up. Are there any advisors or any areas that you think advisors should avoid adding AI in their practices?
I'm not sure about avoiding adding it, but you want to be very cautious about letting it make decisions for you. One of the problems I found with artificial intelligence, particularly these newer generations of it, if you will, is it seems to want to be very well accepted. And therefore, its answers are very affirming and friendly. They may not be exactly what a client needs to hear. So while it's great for collecting data and doing research, we want to maintain the human oversight to have those decisions in conversation with clients. Artificial intelligence is never going to be able to have that hard conversation with the client about unrealistic goals. It won't understand their emotion around various goals. So we're going to have to maintain that part of the relationship. It'll never replace us with that. That being said, it's still great for the preparation and speeding up some of the routine tasks that really save time.
So let's say our conversation today has really changed the perspective for an advisor and they want to start implementing some AI. What's the most realistic first step they should take?
Well, for us, what I would do is, particularly since we clear through LPL, is to look at Jump AI for the meeting prep. That one artificial intelligence has probably saved me the most amount of time in my daily basis. And, what we all want to do is to be able to have those meaningful conversations with clients, and not being stuck in doing prep work for as long allows me to talk to more of my clients and have great conversations with them. So that would probably be the first thing that I would employ. And then I think ChatGPT or another version like that to help, craft emails or return letters to clients, to help write scripts if you're going to do a newsletter, things like that. It just speeds that up. So that would be the kind of the second level I would employ it as.
Yeah, I've noticed it really helps when you've got that age-old problem of writer's block, right? Like, I know I want to talk about these 3 things.
Yes.
Now you can pop that into an AI tool and you get a much better outline. I would never say you're done with it when you put it in. It always needs your personalization refinement, but the time saved on just like that, the brain blocks is just tremendous. So it's very exciting.
I agree.
And I know in our company, we use it a lot with our administrative staff. So they're using it to help write out Excel formulas and all of that.
I would add probably the third layer of AI that we use is the Monday Work Management Program. Mm-hmm. I would say that's great as a third step. It's really great at helping to organize projects that are across large teams. If you're just a single advisor and an admin or support personnel, that type of project management may not really be necessary. But if you get into a large organization, I think it becomes critical to keep everybody on the same page, hitting deadlines as you need, et cetera. So that would be a third layer of AI that should be added in.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for the time today, Matt. I think that was a very helpful and useful conversation. So as we learned, it's not about replacing advisors. The relationships are so key in everything you do, as you pointed out with the emotional side of money and investments. It's so important. But it can help us remove friction, improve consistency, and give you more time to focus on planning and strategy, which we could all use those extra 20 minutes here and there, right? Like if that adds up to 2 hours a month, those are big numbers.
Yeah. And ultimately, that's how you build better relationships.
Yep, absolutely. So for independent advisors out there, firms succeed with AI will be the ones that adopt it thoughtfully, with clear boundaries and a strong understanding of those workflows. If you're thinking about how AI fits into your practice, this is your reminder to start with clarity, not just tools. So if you liked what you learned today, be sure to subscribe to IFA Insights for more candid conversations with industry insiders. We'll see you next time.